Well, hello, everybody. This is Michael Chitwood, and I'm coming to you live this afternoon from the Chitwood International Headquarters right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I wanted to give you a quick report that I felt like would be encouraging to you on this day. I just had a phone call about an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago, from a gentleman by the name of Randy in Woodville, Mississippi. Now, I know about Jackson, Mississippi, but I have never heard of Woodville, Mississippi. Has anybody heard of Woodville, Mississippi? I haven't. He called me from Woodville, Mississippi, and he had the most incredible story to tell me that I had ever heard. And I felt like that I would just come on here and share this with you. And for those of you that are live with me, great, thank you very much. But if you're not, then it's very easy for you to replay this broadcast. There's Ruthie, of course. There's Debbie Booth. She's our executive broadcast director. And there's just many of you. There's Violetta. There's Rose. Many of you, I tried to ask you to come on to Facebook with me live, and you declined my invitation. Patricia Moore and many of you, Charlie Austin. But thank you for being with me live here on Facebook. I want to just see this very quickly here. I don't know if I can do that or not. No, I can't. I just wanted to check one thing there and see. I wanted to share this quick little story with you, and I put it down on some paper here as best I could. He was talking so fast. Randy is 44 years of age. He married at a very early age of 19. I think that was early. I was 21 when I got married. That might have been a little early. I don't know. He was 19 when he got married, and he had married a lady that was his high school sweetheart. And by the way, thank you for coming on. All of you that's coming on, don't forget about our text to give now. We have that available for those of you that's interested in giving something for iPaul or Save America's Churches. You can give it on this phone number that I'm getting ready to put up in just a minute. But the purpose of this is that everyone in town knew that they were high school sweethearts. He got married. He was working at a factory outside of Woodville, Mississippi, and he said that he was working very hard, working very long hours, trying to save his money, trying to, build up a war chest and so forth. But he said that his wife, Rita, who's, of course, I don't know these people, but Rita apparently did not share the same viewpoint as Randy did. Rita was spending the money just about as fast as Randy could make the money. And when you have a partner, a wife, a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend that's spending the money faster than you can make it, it's pretty common sense that you're going to wind up with a deficit very, very soon. I think you would agree with that. You'll wind up with a deficit. He loved Rita, and he tried to meet most of her requests and, in some cases, demands, as he called it. He was wanting to prosper. He was a Christian man. She was a Christian. They went to the same church, by the way, same high school, same church. And they felt like that this was an opportunity for them to, get married, live a very happy life, have children, a normal life. But Randy always knew, according to what he told me, that he had a bigger desire to do something more with his life than to just work at a factory. He's trying to save, basically, and what he said later is that he wanted to get out of Woodville, Mississippi. As I asked earlier, there's Judy St. Pierre. Nobody else knows where Woodville, Mississippi is. If Judy Wilson was on here, she could probably tell us where Woodville, Mississippi is at, but she's not on here. So he wanted to do something else. In the meantime, he couldn't get out because he had no money to get out because his wife Rita was spending all the money that he could make. She wanted a little higher lifestyle than what he wanted to live at that point of their marriage. I mean, they'd only been married for like 2 years. In that process, a very unfortunate situation took place, and that is that Rita decided that she wanted somebody else that could provide her with a larger lifestyle than what Randy was providing for her. She divorced him. It crushed Randy almost to the point that he had nothing left inside of him. He had no drive. He had no emotion. He started missing work. He said that he just felt like he had no purpose to live. The love of his life, his high school sweetheart, one of his church-going friends, she took and she divorced Randy, and Randy was devastated by this matrimony breakup. He was out of circulation, back and forth, got fired from the job. It was a very sad situation coming out of Woodville, Mississippi. And what was so interesting about it, and I was just on the radio in High Point, North Carolina, and I can't even believe that this would even speak to him, but it did. He said that I came on the radio in Jacksonville, Mississippi, and this is for our conferences that we conduct all over. And he said that he heard me speaking about God cannot bless a mess. It's not what you know that will hurt you, it's what you don't know. For lack of knowledge, you're going to be destroyed. And all of this was coming over the radio to a young man that was devastated with the loss of his wife and his only first girlfriend. He said, but something hit him. Don't ever take things for granted when something hits you. It could be a man on the radio like me that wasn't even talking about the gospel, really. I was just simply talking about your future and your desire and so forth. But he said, for some reason, he said, it gave me a major wake-up call. In fact, somebody just put it up, wake-up call. He gave me a major wake-up call so that I could be and hear what that meant. And that day, he said, and I don't even remember this, but I'm going to go back and look it up. He said, you talked about two words, pro, and then you talked about two words that came after pro, P-R-O. And I bet you can't guess the two words that came after pro when I was talking about the things in your church and the things in your life. One was pro-motion, and the other one was pro-vision. Provision, promotion. Provision, promotion. Promotion. Are you getting what I'm trying to explain to you with two simple words? And that is the word vision can also represent the word provision. When God gives you a vision to do something, he always provides the provision, but he wants you to be proactive. See, God is never going to do anything for you that you can do for yourself. He wants you to be proactive. And the same thing with promotion. He wants you to be promoted. And he says, as I was speaking and I was listening to you on the radio, Dr. Chitwood, he said, something hit me and gave me a major wake-up call to my life. He said, you kept talking about be proactive, be promotion, be provision. And he said, if you put all this together, he says, you're going to find out that there's going to be something that will touch you and change your life. I started crying during this phone call because it touched me so much. And I wasn't even talking about those things that would normally help somebody that was depressed. He said, but you gave me the wake-up call that I needed. He said, I went back, and he says, I talked to the man at the factory. I got my job back. I told him what I'd been through. Told him that I'd heard somebody on the radio that changed my life, and I'm a changed person. Will you give me a chance? After 2 or 3 visits to the factory boss returned his job to him in good standing. He worked there for four more years. Yes, he worked there for 4 more years. The town was not a very big town. It was only a town of 10,000 people, he said. And I think he had about 300 people there at the factory. He worked there for 4 more years. This time he didn't have anybody that was taking and spending the money. He lived at first in a mobile home. He saved every penny that he could save. Kind of reminds me of me when I graduated from high school. I had $87,000 saved driving a brand new 442 Oldsmobile, blue with white bucket seats. When I graduated from high school, he saved every dime he could save. And he was making about $40,000 a year, including overtime. He saved every penny he could save. And at the end of 4 years, he had $105,000 in 4 years saved so that he could do the dream that he had always been called and wanted to do. He started his own business. He moved out of Woodville, Mississippi, and he moved to Hattiesburg, or maybe that's Hattiesville. I'm not sure. Hattiesburg or Hattiesville, Mississippi. He moved to Hattiesville, Mississippi, and he started his business. And today, and what I'm so proud of today, and I thank the Lord that we could have a part of speaking into his life and getting the potential out of him through proactive promotion, provision. He says that his business now is grossing over $600,000 a year in somebody put it up and I missed it, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He says he has 6 employees, and he says that his whole life is just his business. He says if it had not been for somebody speaking on the radio that day, and I just finished with Hickory Valley, High Point, North Carolina. There, I was on there with Boss Lady. That's her personality name. Her other name is Anita Arnett. I was just on there live with Pastor Anita Arnett, who is great live personality. And I was just thinking as I hung up the words that I left ringing in the people's ears, even though some may not have been pastors, they may have been just church members like he was. Randy was just a church member working in a factory. I left these words ringing in their ears, and that was that when you want something that you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And it's not what you know that will hurt you. It's what you don't know. And as I left those words ringing in the ears of those listeners there on the Light and Truth Network there of 103.5, 96.3, 1340 AM and 1400 AM on those 4 stations, as I left those words ringing in those ears, it brought back to memory of this thing here. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. Randy was not a fancy guy. He married a lady that wanted a higher class life, a higher style life. Now, she has been through 3 other husbands, no, to total of 3, two other additional husbands, and Randy is enjoying the life that he always wanted to have. He wanted to do something he had never done. I think that is a very impactful story. And the main point behind that is you need to be proactive so you can have a promotion. And the way that you get your business started is that God will provide the provision. Provision. I hope that you enjoyed this broadcast. Thank you for being with me this afternoon here on a Friday afternoon. I just pray that God will continue to explode the potential that's inside of you. See, you do have potential. By the way, if you're a pastor or church leader, remember that we know how to start your church right. If God's called you to start a ministry, we know how to do it. We're church planters, church builders, we're church growth specialists, and we're church management specialists. That's what we do. Everything we do is about church. And I want to give you just an encouragement here. Beware of people who are fakes that say that they know how to do this stuff, and they hold their little seminar. They've copied all of my material, every bit of it. I remember them well. They came to Pensacola and said they was wanting to start their church and get it right. And then later did I know that he copied all my material, turned it into his. And of course, you know, if you change 20 or 30% of it, that's not called plagiarism. So therefore, we just want you to be careful of people that say that they can go to court and represent you when they can't. Beware of copycats, says Patricia Moore, my dear special friend from Florida. Molly White, and there's many of you that's on here today. I appreciate you being a part of this broadcast today. Remember, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. God bless you. Thank you for joining me this afternoon and this broadcast here on Friday afternoon. I'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday morning on Potential Church. Potential Church. I'll see you Sunday morning. God bless you.